This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission success.
All right, you wikis, you ready to watch some swashbuckling, muddy-booted fun?
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you know it was bad luck to kill a seabird?
Did not know, but makes sense. Not surprised if a pirate or a ship type person were to say that to me. I'd go, yeah, I can see how you'd think that.
Don't kill the birds. Why not? So I kicked off this one saying that I didn't want either of you to give me any indication of what you thought about it because this is The Lighthouse from 2019. This is the second movie of the director Robert Eggers, who we watched The Witch last year and we watched The Northman at some other point in time.
Have we seen everything he's done now?
Yes. His fourth one is in production now. He's remaking Nosferatu next.
Jesus. With who's his star for that?
Dafoe is in it.
Oh, okay.
So this one, out of all the picks I picked this year, this one was kind of the one where it's like, well, you might just full on hate it. You might. You might hate the experience of it. You might love it. You might think it's a friggin' masterpiece. It really could go either way, and I wouldn't be able to argue against whatever your thought. Well, I guess if you said I was meh on it and I don't have strong feelings towards it, that would be surprising to me.
Okay.
But so I think John.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Denny, that makes me want to lean that way.
I know, me too.
Wait, so
I'm thinking,
wait. So TC gets to go first this week.
Okay. Well, then you said John.
I did. Sorry. You went last week.
To me all the time. All the time.
Poor
You
John.
give it and then you take it away.
You
give it and take it away.
That's it.
You give it and take it away. Can't handle it anymore. I just can't. I tell you, I can't handle it.
You'll handle it and you'll handle it because I said so.
Yeah, because I said so.
Aye, sir.
Yeah,
TC.
I mean, if I were to sum up this movie, it would be 3 bullet points.
Okay.
2 lonely guys wanking. First bullet point. Second bullet point, mermaid vagina.
Yeah.
Third bullet point.
I always wondered about that.
Third bullet point, lots of, I don't know, stupid shit.
Stupid shit.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get into this one at all. And I knew I wouldn't, so I didn't see it in the first place. I think I did respect it for some of the, cinematography, some of the cool little effects with the black and white. And, I understood that the aspect ratio was sort of like, part of the effect, right? Claustrophobic effect. Keep it small, just like they are on this little island. I just don't know if I left with anything other than that was 2 guys slowly slipping into madness, which I would say on any given day, I'm not a, gung-ho.
It's not your favorite genre of movie.
Not my favorite thing to watch.
That's slowly going crazy, not your favorite thing.
Yeah, not my favorite thing. I thought Pattinson did a good job as, he was a good actor in that one. If I had to say, that was probably my favorite role he's done. But I don't know if I don't really, it wasn't, left with much. I didn't leave the movie being like, oh, I'm glad I watched it, or, it was more, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Did you have a sustained feeling throughout watching the movie?
Well, I did. What I was surprised by was that it was more of a story than I was thinking it was going to be. I think, like, my expectations for what they could do with 2 guys on an island was better than I thought it was going to be. Put it that way. I just don't, and I don't really need to see 2 guys wanking alone, and then I have to think about a mermaid vagina. That's really what I come back to.
You're not missing. You're not thinking you needed more of that.
I don't think I was missing much.
Or
there.
did you ever wonder what it would look like if you took a seagull and just hit it over and over again against something solid? What would happen?
That was one of the more memorable scenes.
Yeah.
Good.
Other than that, I don't really have too much. I don't think I would watch this one again. And I definitely wouldn't tell anybody to watch it.
I felt kind of guilty rewatching it this time. I'm like, I told people to watch this. They're going to watch this.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
But I do think that as far as it being a project that was clearly intentional and had, a very director with a strong idea and they just kind of went for it. I do respect that in a sense, but
certainly that feels like that's what this was, like some pretty clear artistic vision as to what they wanted to do.
Exercising that creative muscle.
Yep.
And sort of just sticking with it. And, I like that, but not something I'd watch again. That's all I got.
John?
Well, TC hit the highlights. Those are the bullet points. Don't really need to say
Can't
them
argue
again.
with those.
Really can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
octopus.
Really, you see the mermaid scene, you're like, oh yeah. Oh, so that's what it's like. Okay. So I wonder.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's based on a shark's vagina. Just throwing that trivia out there.
I figured
is it really?
There was some research, right?
Yep.
The square screen plus the black and white, I think, really took me out of the movie.
It
made me feel like I was watching an old time horror film or something. Like I'm watching it on a small TV or something. That's just me thinking of seeing a really old film. I'm seeing the square and I'm seeing the black and white. It took me out of any realism of the film, I think, because I was not really impacted. It just seemed even more like if instead of any like real score, there was like old timey organ something or whatever, it would have fit it better with the black and white plus the square. I think that was it's a really interesting
Bullet point
choice.
3, black and white plus the square.
Right.
That's what this
black
movie is.
Black and white plus the square. So that I really think that was why it would have been different. I think it could have felt more realistic had there had been more of the usual screen involved. It just felt like I was watching it on an old TV, or I was watching like old time science horror theater.
Where's Hitchcock? I mean, come on in there. Introduce it to us.
Yes. Oh, they strangle and masturbate.
Oh, jerking off in the lighthouse, did he?
Don't stand below Dafoe.
It's a little more overt than I like to be, but still, I got to like it. So I really, of course, the beginning is my favorite part.
Of course,
I love the sound with the way they mixed the score with the boat hitting the waves. As it went through. I thought that was cool. I was hoping they were going to do more stuff like that, but they didn't really.
They did.
It didn't seem anyway. Did they? Nothing hit me like that as like the score being mixed with the sounds of the sea so well. I thought that was really cool. Like the sounds of the ocean waves or the rhythm.
Well, when they were like doing the drunken dancing and like that was
that was like singing,
rhythmic.
Dancing. Yeah, that's But I didn't match like the rest of the. I don't know. I just like the way they did that. Like the way the ocean overlaps so much with the ocean sounds overlap so much with the percussion that it was the percussion basically. I thought that was just pretty cool at first. Oh, that's going to be cool. But anyway, I was excited. And then there were some good landscape shots of the lighthouse, which I like. That's great. But again, I think that would have been better full screen. It would have been better with a full screen to see those cinematic shots rather than a black and white square. I agree with TC. Also, Patterson was great. I don't feel though, and again, maybe black and white square. I did not really feel the tension between the two. I felt removed from it, even though it was there and clear. The actors were putting themselves into it, but I did not feel the strain the way that I think a movie like this should try to pull you in and help you feel that tension, that going crazy. And again, I didn't. And I don't know, it might be more than black and white square, but that I think it just really, I didn't feel like engaged with it. I thought, again, some of the soliloquies are pretty awesome, but they're weird and they're sort of almost out of place, sort of that all of a sudden they get super eloquent or whatever, or super high and dramatic, but I liked it all the same. So there's like the one where he starts talking about like the god Poseidon's going to come strike him down. I thought it was really cool.
So good.
I thought I liked it.
Where's his Oscar nomination? Come on.
Right for that. But it also it didn't fit the character that much. It was strange that all of a sudden he was super poetic and super like.
That's why it works, because everything is confusing in this movie. The whole point of it is you're losing your mind and like you don't know who the characers are. You don't know how long they've been there. The changes are all like you question whether or not it's even real, like what you're watching.
Kind of, but it still leaves. There's very much a linear flow to it where they kind of show you what's happening, except for the one where there's a time where the character is told that the
they've
main
been there for
guy,
2 weeks stranded or whatever.
Yeah, that was one of the real like switches there. But otherwise, it still felt like where he's like taking the boat's getting destroyed. And it's very clear who's destroying the boat. It's not him.
but is it? Because I mean,
then he's told, right?
Yeah, you can't really.
I guess you could say, but what you're seeing a very linear perspective. You're seeing that character's perspective nearly 100%. So there's not maybe there's room for what really did happen, but the movie isn't playing with your perspective at all. So it's just giving you that sort of single perspective. I would
disagree. At least really? I feel like it does, because there are parts where it's like, there's fantasy stuff. Is there an octopus up in the lighthouse?
Right.
Is that real?
That? Right, yeah. Or is it because
is there an actual mermaid?
Right.
Or is he hallucinating it?
That's also true.
You saw it. Come on.
There's no mermaid. We know there's no mermaid.
Anyway, I mean, you could sort of, that's fair. That's even before they start drinking. I had to look it up. They were drinking turpentine
and honey
mixed with honey.
Yeah.
So that was
classic.
So then you could start to think that, things are really going to go off the rails there at that point, as far as what's real or not real in both of their minds.
I mean, to your point though, John, I did feel kind of lost with the timeline, and I didn't really make the connection that I was supposed to be.
Yeah, I felt lost not in a cool way, sort of like, we're not sure if that happened or that happened. So, okay, it's a thing. I mean, the idea is really cool. This idea too of losing your mind and to being in close contact with somebody and going nuts and all of that is pretty cool. But yeah. So I didn't feel. I mean, I'm sort of glad I saw it. I like The Witch a lot. I like The Witch a lot more. The Witch had a lot better atmosphere. I was more sucked into that one. I like what he does here too, because he's trying. I had to turn the subtitles on because I
did too for the second half.
Yeah,
I wish I knew what they were saying. I can figure it out if I turn the subtitles on.
Right. And some of it's not like the usual kind of English I'm used to hearing spoken, so I'm going to have to, I need some help. But I like that, and they did that in The Witch too, and I really love that too. I like the sense of, trying to be true to a sense of time and the way people might have spoken at that time, sort of, and even just there was to say very normal things that would be like not said in the way we would say them, like in modern times. So I like that a lot. But yeah, I didn't get pulled into it. I didn't get pulled into the sense of place as much either. There wasn't as much going on. I mean, The Witch had all this. The Witch had the family and him getting kicked out of town and their beliefs and all. There was a lot more there. And again, that's probably the point. They just want you to focus on these two characters and the one guy in particular going insane or maybe not or whatever. So there just didn't seem to be. There's not as much depth that like made this feel real either, I think.
Did you guys get the overtones of Space 2001: Space Odyssey?
What?
From the monolith stuff when they had the lighthouse?
Oh, the lighthouse says, I was reading in the Wikipedia that they were purposely trying to make it look like a penis. And
there was a cut they had in the original script where it cut from an erect dick to the lighthouse, but they had to cut it out because that would have gone an NC-17.
Oh, wow.
That would have been a hilarious cut. Some Bergman shit right there, It's just oh, God.
Bergman shit. Yeah.
Don't watch this on an airplane.
That is a great first date movie right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with anything you guys are saying. This movie is a pretty miserable movie, but it's like what it's going for. And I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I had a different experience watching it. I think that aspect ratio in the black and white and the way they lit it and all that stuff really drew me in to this strange, nightmarish, and you're using the word realistic at all. I agree. It's not realistic at all. It's like a nightmare. It's like a dream sequence or something like that. And I think the weird ratio and the weird music and the crazy ass performances and the way it's cut together never felt like I was watching a linear story. I felt like these guys were in on a magical island almost, where it was like fucking with their heads, because like it would jump scene to scene where like they'd be fighting, but then they'd be friends and they'd be like confiding in each other and they'd be fighting again. I
mean, I can see where you think it's that still felt mostly linear to me. Like it's just like, that's what happens when you're drunk too. You go through phases, Yeah. I love you, man. I hate you, man.
But you can't, they lost the food. You can't just drink turpentine and honey and survive for like more than a couple of days, right? You'd
so
be dead.
If you're thinking of a time sequence, but I don't think like, if you look, well, and it'd be interesting to know if they're really intentionally trying to go for a sense of lost time. I didn't get that as much.
Yeah, me either.
Like, I like the idea, and I agree with your point. It's like almost like it becomes like this fever dream they don't know what's real. They don't know when they are sort of, or the perspective of the main character at least.
And I think to me it's clear because it seems they don't change the shooting style for anything. So like you watch the scenes where they're talking to each other and it's shot in the exact same way as when he's like wading into the ocean and seeing a mermaid underwater, and like the way it cuts from there, you don't exactly know, like
you don't know
what
what happened in between. Like, how did he get there? How did he get back? When was that? Kind of. I can see that.
But it was a little confusing.
It's confusing, and I kind of, but I like that because
that's
it's like
the intent.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. The whole thing is like,
I don't think I picked up on it though.
Yeah, I didn't.
If you're not into it, it's probably just not, not thinking about why it's doing what it's doing or whatever.
Did you see this? Did you see this first in the theater?
I did, and it was awesome.
I think it might be harder to avoid being like sort of sucked into it.
You might be more immersed because of the sound.
Yeah. Well, just it's a lot larger. It's in your face. It's a lot bigger. I don't know.
I mean, I had really high expectations going into this because The Witch is one of my favorite horror movies, and my expectations were met. And I don't think I've ever seen.
But
like
you're
this
a
movie.
weirdo.
I'm a weirdo. That's the thing, right? That's why I'm watching it. That's why I'm watching it, and you got like Robert Pattinson dodging jizz dripping down out of a lighthouse, and there's
what was that?
I'm like, oh geez, this may be a bit much.
Oh dear, sorry, Dad.
Sorry, guys. That's right. You shouldn't have let me pick the movie again on Christmas time, like you always do.
Right, bad movie for family night. Yeah, sorry.
You guys didn't think the jizz was funny? Come on, that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Everyone's
Come
like,
on.
no.
I did think this movie was pretty funny at some parts, which was, I don't know. I always like it when movies can make me go from laughing really hard to like being scared, like in a really quick turnaround period of time. Like the scene where, right before the scene you were talking about, John, where he's doing that, the Triton spear through the neck and how he's like blown up and eaten by the ocean and his soul is like being consumed by the god of the ocean or whatever that whole speech is. Right before that, I was laughing pretty hard because Pattinson was talking shit on the food. And he's talking about how, like, if he had a nice rare steak, he would fuck it. Yeah. And then it cuts to Dafoe's face, and Dafoe's face is, like, so confused. I'm like, but then all he's thinking about is, like, you don't like me cooking? I burst out laughing then. He's like, what about me lobster? And he's like, no. They're both being, like, insubordinate.
It's crazy.
There was, I got a laugh out of me, too, after you have that amazing speech. Then he's like, fine, I like your lobster. It's like, that was kind of good.
Yeah.
But still,
It's just a ridiculous movie. I couldn't compare it to anything else. I think that's part of the reason I like it so much is because Willem Dafoe is a great actor, and I think this is the best thing he's ever done. His performance, I think, during 3 specific scenes, the Triton one, the one where he's like, if I tell you this, you'll do it. And he just like slowly stomping across the room, and it's like seems perfectly staged, and he's really intense. And he's like a shorter guy than Pattinson, but I totally bought Pattinson's like, holy shit, okay, I'm going to listen to what this guy says. This guy's terrifying. I don't know if you noticed during that Triton monologue or whatever, he had his eyes open the entire time. He didn't blink.
Oh, no blinking?
No blinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty insane.
Thanks.
Yeah, and this movie is what I would consider scary. This kind of movie scares me. It's not like the jump scares or anything. It's like the nightmarish imagery and like this strange tone. You know what I mean?
Tension, like all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm watching, so I don't feel grounded in it. So I feel like uneasy with what's happening. And I mean, some of the stuff is just so gross, like all the wet stuff and all the jerking off and like all the shit pots and the cistern and the dead birds. Like it's just a disgusting movie, but that's intentional too. So I mean, and it makes me feel gross. So I'm kind of just like, well, you did it, movie. Good job. You did what you set out to do. So I just got to give you credit. Do I enjoy it all the way through? No, not really. It's pretty unpleasant to watch most of the time. But with that being said, I have a hard time, watching it and finding like flaws or whatever. Like this guy has a really good sense of what he wants. Like I found the tone throughout it to be like really, really good. Like
consistent.
It's consistent, and I actually got into it. And it didn't break throughout the entire movie. Like the tone it really had me like in this weird, strange area that he's created here, which is rare and sweet. It reminded me a lot of like the Green Knight was like this a little bit. Less
sweet like
atmospheric. Honey. And turpentine.
More like turpentine.
Yeah.
Sweet honey and turpentine.
But the effects were really good, I thought. Like the shot where he falls off of that little swing when he's painting, that looked like he was falling off a building.
That was
well
good.
done. That was well done.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I thought the sound design was really cool. And there's some special features on the guy who did the score for this, and he builds his own instruments. It's pretty nuts.
Oh wow!
And all the stuff that sounds like it's digital in the background, like the foghorn that's like throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes like digital boat horn, but it's not. It's like it's a piece of metal with a bowstring that he like bends and records it from inside this like metallic echo chamber thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff
so
like that.
Again, these are just nerds flexing their muscles.
Yeah, but it works though. It's cool how he did it, but I think it worked for like the mood of the movie.
It does.
Yeah.
But I can see why it's not accessible.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I rarely don't feel bad while I'm watching a movie where, I'm like, shit. These guys might come in hot, pissed at me for making them watch this movie.
No, he's still like even, I mean, he's able to, this is really somebody with an artistic vision going after something like Full Throttle. And I'm glad that's what he does because I like it. I really like it sometimes too. Sometimes I think when you miss with your audience like that, or some of your audience, you might miss by quite a lot, right? Because that's fine. That's not what it's like. This is what we're gonna do. If you're along for the ride, that's great. But if you're not, you're probably gonna be way back in the dust.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's about all I got too. I got a lot of trivia on this one.
Oh, good.
All right. Let's go.
Let's see. Oh, did you like the seagull acting? That was pretty good acting, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we know the seagulls are assholes.
The one-eyed seagull.
We've discussed this before. They're terrible on set.
They're smart. Seagulls. These guys are smart.
Yeah.
The ones they got a Lady, Tramp, and Johnny were the 3 seagulls that were trained.
Yeah, but prima donnas, I know. You gotta like do everything. If you like when you got the seagulls on set, if you don't do what they want, you're toast. It's just chaos.
What other movie did we have seagulls in?
Oh, God,
Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Mine. Is that the same seagull?
There was some other. Anyway,
they're apparently pretty trainable. So like they got him to walk to the positions. Robert Eggers co-wrote the script with his brother Max, and Robert wanted like the seagulls in there for a couple of scenes because he knew he wanted the smashing of the seagull to set off the curse that happened. But he didn't want to write in too much more of the seagulls because he worked with animals in The Witch and it's difficult. So he's like, fuck that. It's going to be really hard. But his brother would be like, it'd be really cool if we had more seagulls in here. So they wrote him in a lot and they actually had a pretty easy time.
They actually could like train the seagull like a dog to like go and guard something and like yell at the guy for getting near.
Yep.
Huh.
If you continually feed a seagull, it'll stay in the same spot. If you don't feed it when it's doing anything else, it'll quickly learn that it'll only get fed if it's in the one spot if you want it to stay there. So that's apparently what they did. I laughed pretty hard when he, and this was actually influenced by The Big Lebowski, the scene where he has the 2 shit pots and he throws it into the wind and it goes like in his face. Like when they were doing the Ashes of Donnie from Big Lebowski. Yeah. That's
well, they didn't make it as clear it was going in his face. I didn't catch it that it was going in his face.
Did.
I was just
you saw it fly into his face and he screams immediately afterwards and then it cuts.
Oh, did he? Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Good.
I didn't know if I noticed
that. I wasn't catching it.
One thing I didn't get in watching it this time was like, there was a scene where he was like, after he saw the mermaid, Willem Dafoe was like, you were crazy last night. You shat all over yourself or something like that. And then it cuts to them both standing out in the pouring rain. You remember that? I didn't really understand what was going on there. I thought maybe he was like washing Robert Pattinson because he was like covered in shit, but it wasn't really clear. You guys are both look pretty confused in even what part I'm talking about.
I don't remember at all. I didn't retain most of this.
That's okay. Pretty linear there, huh, John? Just makes perfect sense all the way through.
That's right.
I thought speaking of Kubrick parallels, I thought the ending was kind of like The Shining with the chasing with the axe and all that stuff and the loss of sanity.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
Monkey pump. I laughed at that too.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny. I didn't know what they were drinking though. But
I had to look it up too. They just made their gross drink and they're like, monkey pump. That's what I'm going to say now whenever I'm like, I want to eat my can of spinach and my arms pop out,
Yeah.
And no one will know the reference because no one saw this.
No one. Not many. I mean, this movie did well though.
I don't think it did.
I thought it
$11 million budget, $18 million box office.
Yeah, come on. He made $7 million. That's great.
That's not how it works. No,
that's not very much.
You have to double the production budget for advertising, so you need to make $22 million to break even.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez, John, come on. How long have you been doing this podcast?
How long have you been doing this?
I don't know. You just say it cost this much to make, and we made this much, and what we made was more than it cost to make. So
I hope you don't do your own taxes, John. I hope you're not doing your own taxes.
I don't know. I thought I didn't know they could say it should include the advertising how much it costs to make. That should be part of it.
All right, we got trivia time now. I got a shit ton of notes, but they're all just plot points. That's fine. Pestful lens. It's from the 1840s. They created a custom lens to make the images look like they would from picture cameras back in the 1840s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty sweet. They used double something black and white. It's great that I have to say something. They use real black and white film. To do that, you really need to more heavily light a scene. So all of the lights you see, like even all the lanterns, it's not just a flame. They're using 800-watt halogen bulbs in those things. And it was really hot on set, and it was hard for the actors to not squint in a lot of the scenes. So there's some very intense lighting going on here. And they look uglier than they normally do because with the black and white filter they had on, it doesn't pick up any reds. And when that happens, you see like pores and vessels in people's faces a lot more.
Oh, okay.
So that was all kind of just
probably like also like very brightly lit too. So you're seeing it like
you're getting all the little details. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dafoe has fake teeth. Those are fake teeth.
Okay.
That was a real steamship they built. He was kind of mad that it looked a little CG, and he wished they could like portray that it was a real steamship better. But
I mean it didn't have much it wasn't in much of the film either.
Yeah.
No.
That's a lot for not much of the film. All you see is the bow, I think, right? I mean,
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The southern tip of Nova Scotia is where they filmed everything. The weather was terrible there almost all the time. All the weather and wind you see in the movie is 80% of the time from, its actual natural weather. Yes. They had some wind machines for some of the scenes, but overall, it was just like, well, it's another rainy day. Cool, perfect. It's going to be a miserable shoot. Here we go, guys. You're going to be wet.
Yeah.
You're going to stink. It's going to be somewhat dangerous to shoot. They had 150-kilometer winds multiple times during the shoot on the coast. They built the lighthouse and all these buildings they built on like a volcano rock in Nova Scotia. They had to wait for the weather to die down.
They like built all of that?
They built all of it.
Full lighthouse?
It's a 70-foot tall lighthouse with a functional light in it. That the lighthouse like glass in the middle was based on a real lens they had back in the day, and it can project light 16 miles out.
Oh wow!
With that form, and wickies, it's called wickies because you're a wick man. It's like they used to have to cut the wicks for the light. It's like a big ass candle, I guess. So that's what a wiki means. So bad weather all the time. The shot of Robert Pattinson wading out into the water, that was just the ocean. They, for some reason, just like did that in the ocean. And they had to wait for a day where it was safe because there was a riptide there. So like they just had to like plan that out for a day where the weather wasn't terrible. They did 25 takes of that shot because the lens kept getting fogged up when they were pulling it back. So that's pretty intense. The shot of the mermaid on the rocks was real on the beach. They had this whole.
It was a real mermaid, huh?
It was a real mermaid. Yeah. Well, they put this
with a real vagina.
The vagina was real. Mermaid was real. It's good, great movie. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. Unreal.
All right, look. Yes.
No, I love this movie.
As long as it's real, I love it.
Yeah,
it was a fake mermaid
real.
vagina. I'm just the most disappointed man you'd ever met in your entire life.
Yeah, right. What the fuck, man?
But that the whole getup they had with her mermaid lower half of the body or whatever was heavy and not very movable. So they had to stretch her out onto the rocks on a real beach, and there was like, waves coming and stuff. And they were actually pretty nervous during that because there wasn't a way for her to like escape if the waves came and like, dragged her across the rocks or whatever the fuck.
You're saying, go be an actress, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
It'll be good. It'll be great.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
You'll get to express yourself, they said.
Oh, God. Those scenes are so gross.
That's Mom. It's my first movie to invite the whole family. My first starring role.
Hey, getting naked in a horror movie, it's one way to get your career started.
Can be okay, but this will be memorable.
They built everything interior and exterior, but they did shoot a lot of the interior scenes in sound stages. So not actually in the Lighthouse because they
because
found
it would have been freezing cold.
It would have been
Lighthouse?
freezing, and there wasn't a lot of space in there. But he did plan on shooting inside the lighthouse itself, actually inside the lighthouse, and he complained a little bit about how that ended up because he's like, well, I just feel like it's a little too tight in here. I think, he did his moderate amount of complaining. I don't know if you guys remember from The Northman, I said, and I still stand by this, that he complained the most I've ever heard on a commentary track about his own movie.
Right.
The Witch, he was way more positive than that. This one was mostly positive, but he certainly complained quite a bit as well.
Yeah. And not necessarily, not in a way, he's not like mad.
It's always himself. Yeah.
Right. He's not like mad at other people or blaming other people. He's just like, I did this wrong. I should have done this.
Yeah. Well, except for in The Northman, he was mad at the studios. Pretty bad.
Yeah. Right.
But in this one, he praised everyone else, like all the costume designers, lighting designers, cinematography, actors, production designers. He was like, yep, they did it perfectly. This movie's amazing because of them. And then he would just complain about like his decisions. He's like, I wish I didn't do it this way, sort of thing.
That's cool. You're learning, what his mistakes were.
Yeah. What is he? How old is he?
It's like 38, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's got a long time. Keep making sweet horror movies. Hopefully Nosferatu is something that'll, launch him more into having more freedom.
Well, I mean, did Northman do well?
It did pretty well, all things considered,
well
being
enough.
like a pandemic movie and kind of a troubled production. Made a decent amount of money.
Doubled it? Because apparently that's what I hear from the experts.
Oh, is that right?
There's some smart people who told me it's not how much it costs, but other things.
Advertisement, John.
Advertisement.
The Northman was like a really big budget movie, I think. No, it did not. It did not do well. The budget was between 70 and 90, and it made 70 million. So,
well, goddamn! But when is somebody's going to stop making movies at some point if they keep like not making money?
Not if they they get actors to want to do them. I don't know. Yeah. If I had a lot of money, I'd throw it into a hole to let really good artists make shit that I've never seen before.
That's
that I liked.
Fair. I guess that works okay, and maybe somehow it's a tax write-off too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure. One of the things he mentioned was that there was a Sears and Roebuck catalog on a string when he's using the toilet. They had a Sears catalog using his toilet paper.
Oh,
that's a nice little detail.
Yeah.
The antique steam engine was real. They found a hobbyist that upkept a bunch of old shit, and they, borrowed it from this guy for this movie. All the clothing, as you can probably assume, was based on like real styles from back then. All the language, same thing, based on the styles of language from back then. So like historically, I guess, even though this is like a fantasy tale, all the period piece stuff is pretty dead on as much as it could be, which is probably like the biggest through line throughout his career. He's always doing period pieces, and it's always like really researched. Yeah. Which is sweet. So hopefully Nosferatu, even though it's a vampire movie, it's going to have some pretty dark gothic period piece stuff in there.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
that'll be fun one we got to go see in the theater.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
No, let's do it.
Or not.
No, we're doing it.
Suck. We're doing it. That's right. Yeah. There's that chance.
I was just watching TZ's expression.
Or not.
Yeah, the lights were so bright, all of the crew had to wear sunglasses even at nighttime for a lot of the shoot, just so their eyes didn't bleed.
Wow.
Except for those actors.
Except for the actors. They're so good. The bird knocking on the window was done in one take. That's how good that bird was.
A professional.
Such a good bird.
Yeah.
Give Willem a run for his money.
You notice during that whole scene, that bird didn't blink.
Oh, so here, okay, good one. Did you know that bird had one eye? I didn't notice the bird had one eye.
I did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I read in the Wikipedia that it did.
TZ did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did it make you feel like it was a pirate seagull or?
It was an interesting touch.
It was supposedly like because the previous guy only had one eye too. His previous.
Oh.
And
I didn't pick up on
that.
that.
The bird was the
ghost.
The souls of sailors.
When he finds him in the lobster trap, he's got the one eye.
Oh, interesting.
Look at that.
Good connection.
Time
John.
to rewatch.
Yeah.
Gotta pick up on more stuff.
There you go.
So the swab scene, John, and he only mentioned this for the swab scene, the one where he does the monologue that you thought was out of place. They put it in there because the studios wanted something that actually added like tension to the movie. Without those scenes, I feel like it would be more meandering.
So you agree with the suits, huh?
I know.
I mean, I thought if Willem Dafoe's acting in those scenes was like freaking amazing.
No, I thought it was. So I agree, but it's just interesting that, and I wonder, Edgar's thought about, like, they're like, hey, could you spice it up there? Yeah, we're bored here over here. We're not gonna make money if people are bored, and we're bored.
Mm-hmm.
So
the thing is,
not boring.
When he was talking about how he makes movies, he says, and this is very obvious, and probably part of the reason it's not accessible is that he starts with a mood, and then he comes up with a story just to fit within the mood that he feels. Yeah,
it's a tone poem.
Tone poem. Yeah, there you go.
I like it.
Did that help you prepare at all, TC, in warning you last week? Did that?
I mean, I kind of knew already going into it what it was.
Just because the commercial?
I remember when it came out. Yeah. So I kind of, prepared myself. I over-prepared. So I was, not as...
That's good. Know. You did your homework?
Yeah. So I wasn't as bummed as I thought I was going to be.
It wasn't 1-to-1. It's 1.19 to 1. That's the ratio.
Oh,
very odd.
So not quite a square.
Not quite. A little rectangle there. Very subtle rectangle.
Why?
When he old camera. That's the way they used to make old cameras.
That was just the ratio.
That was just the ratio. Okay. Yeah. Why not just a perfect square? Who the hell knows?
I wonder when if he's doing Nosferatu, is he going to go for the same thing? Because being a very old film. Originally, if he's going to go for the squarish, black and whitish look for that too, I wonder.
Good question. Who knows?
Probably not.
Yeah, I would assume not too. Yeah,
I would think it was very intentional for this specific time
because
period and everything.
He thought it would help you feel more cramped, maybe. But So okay.
The black water coming out of the sink was Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Yep. Stand by.
Eggers said that he wishes the scene where they smashed the seagull was in color because with all of the blood and the way it looked, he said it looked amazing in color.
Oh.
So he was upset that it had to be in black and white there.
Huh.
Willem Dafoe saw The Witch in the theaters, loved it. The next day after seeing it, brought his wife to see it. Was like, check this out. And then he contacted Eggers directly being like, yo, we should do something together. The Witch is awesome. So then
cool.
A little while later, Eggers sent him the script for this one. And Willem read it like that day and immediately signed on. He's like, this is sweet. Absolutely. Let's do it. And for Robert Pattinson, they had been talking. He also saw The Witch, and I'm not exactly sure how they got in contact, but they were in contact for a while. Eggers was pitching him a bunch of different ideas.
Eggers was a big fan of the Twilight movies, I'm sure.
That's where he gets all of his influence from.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they've been talking for a while, for years, and Eggers had been pitching him a bunch of ideas of movies he was thinking about. And Robert Pattinson was like, he didn't like any of the ideas because he was playing an Englishman, like a straight Englishman in a horror movie. And during one of the meetings, he was just like, Robert, or Eggers, I really want to do something very strange and out there. If it's not super weird, I don't want to have anything to do with it. So then when that meeting ended, a couple weeks passed by, and he's like, Eggers called him back and was like, all right, I think I got something for you. Gave him the Lighthouse script. And then Robert Pattinson was like, yep.
Mermaid vagina.
Right. Lonely guys wanking. What do you say?
So he actually wrote a lot of the scripts with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in mind. And he didn't know what he was going to do if either of them said no. So...
He's still, he goes out of control, but he's still kind of the straight-laced Englishman in comparison.
Doesn't he have like kind of a New York accent at the end once he reveals his real personality?
It's kind of like a Robert F. or like a John F. Kennedy kind of sounding accent, like, right? But it still feels like he's.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
I didn't think anything about Robert Pattinson before I saw this movie, and then I was like, holy shit, I think I'm a fan of this guy.
Did you see he hasn't done a ton, I don't think, but he was in the Batman.
That was great. I've seen that a few times. Yeah. Huge fan of that one. He was in Good Time. I think TC, you'd seen that one.
Good Time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same Safdie Brothers. It's the first movie. The guys,
right. The Uncut Gen guys. Yeah. No, I still need to see.
Got to see it. Maybe he's really good in it.
We might see. Maybe we should watch that one at some point.
Yeah, do that.
Or not. Trying to gauge TC's reaction here hard sometimes.
I was looking up something else.
Okay.
There was a shot where there's, I think it's Robert Pattinson running in the rain, and Eggers was like, Robert Pattinson was so close to punching me during this scene right here, just because he was, freezing. And then there was another shot separately.
Just uncomfortable.
There's another shot separately where Eggers was like, this is the coldest I've ever been. Just like saying it flatly as like a fact. Just like remembering the day when he was doing, he's like, this is literally the coldest I have ever been.
Like you're doing this on purpose,
This is similar to like The Witch when they were filming in like the muddy woods in the Northman. It was also terrible weather all the time. This guy just loves torture.
He's just a sucker for punishment.
Yep. Yeah, the Kraken speech was one take.
Makes you think that, that movie Midsummer, they really had a great idea there. They're still going to be horrible and icky, but let's do it somewhere.
Let's do it in the warmth.
Yeah. We'll see. I bet the Nosferatu movie is going to be pretty gross too.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. This little bullet point here just says shark labia. That's what that one says.
Oh, shark labia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Of course, accuracy is the number one priority for Mr. Eggers. Got to be accurate in some way.
That's right.
The masturbation scene is the first scene that they shot. Great way to kick off a movie.
Right. Great way to build camaraderie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second day of the shoot was the shoot where they were dragging Willem Dafoe into the dirt pit and throwing the dirt over his face. Second day shoot.
What I was thinking.
I mean, I feel like that's better because it's like you're in
it.
Energy still.
Yeah.
You're still like okay. Yeah.
What
right.
did they use
You're not sick of it yet.
Dirt, was that chocolate cake or something? Because they were like,
dirt.
It was like in his
It
mouth,
was dirt.
in his
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. Dude, Willem Dafoe is like
Jesus.
65 years old, and all the scenes where he's like dancing and wrestling with Pattinson were all real. There was no stuntman for any of that stuff. Dafoe was the man.
Yeah.
The crabs were real. All the seagulls in the background were real. Apparently, if you're in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia and you have a catering table, the seagulls will come to you. No worries.
Really? They were all real even during the
100%
death
real.
of the bird scene? Because that, I
not
like
the death of the birds. Kill a bird, John.
No.
Why not?
No, there was a couple shots where the seagull in the close to the camera was a puppet, but all the seagulls flying in the background were real seagulls.
But that was like shortly after the death of the bird, where there's like you start to pan out. It was a really good shot that their seagulls look like they're sort of just hovering there. They're not even like flying.
No, so he actually pointed at that and he's like, this is a weird one because people think this is puppeted because all the seagulls are kind of in the same spot. But they're just fighting the wind though. Because the wind is so high that they can't necessarily get to where they want to go.
I like that. That looked really creepy. It looked strange. Like they were all like they're like hovering. Like we're pissed you did this, buddy, and you're going to pay, kind of thing. It was
worked out, but also kind of didn't work out because he knows that people think it's a weird shot.
He was upset because it looks too fake. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
this shot's so real it looks fake.
Yeah. Oh, I'm too good. Damn it, I'm so good.
I know. I'm too skilled.
I turned the subtitles on for the dancing scene. That's when I turned them on. I don't know when you guys.
I did pretty much right away. I'm like, oh, this is Eggers. It's going to be some old timey speech. Yeah. I'm not going to understand it otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be tough. I got really used to the subtitles in this one, but seeing Nosferatu in the theater, it's going to be the same issue. It's like, damn it, there's no subtitles. Maybe you could find it in a theater that has the subtitles, a closed caption screening. That happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You're deaf?
Probably. Wouldn't doubt it.
But it's just hard because the language is just not English. I'm sure they're going to do that same thing. It's just not modern English, and so you can't follow it. You just have
German.
to kind of.
It's German, right? Nosferatu was German. I think originally it was. Maybe. Yeah. What if he does German and it's just subtitled? That could be good.
Well, that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for if you're German.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Except for German, it'd be scheiss. But if you're not, then
good one, John.
Scheisse. Oh God.
Hey, we got a multicultural podcast.
I can speak multiple languages. It was hard to get the quiet dialogue on set because the camera made a lot of noise, but they did some editing tricks to get the sound down there. Robert Pattinson is very.
What did they do? Like, how did you edit to like get the sound out?
They probably just added it.
Yeah, maybe just add waves or something. Or
add
other stuff.
Like add other sounds to sort of cancel that out, basically. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
He did not. He just said it was hard. He's like, this was difficult. Okay. Robert Pattinson was a very intense actor. This shoot was so intense that Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson barely talked at all off set. They both had very different styles of acting. Willem Dafoe lived in an abandoned shanty house the entire shoot by himself to get into. That's how he prepares himself. TC, furrowed brow, shaking head. Yeah, he's a method actor, TC. You got to do that to be as good as Willem is in this movie.
When he was Green Goblin, he did not take his costume off. He rode around on a little skateboard and went,
wouldn't doubt it.
Here I come. Throwing tennis balls at everyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got you. Boom, I got you. He's a great actor. But so he was living by himself. in a shanty. He would hang out with the crew all the time. He was very social, and he wouldn't really do anything to prepare for the scenes, like right before a take. Robert Pattinson, on the other hand, lived in a hotel, very comfortable hotel, didn't talk to any of the crew members, stayed completely by himself. And to prep himself for all the shots, he would do some pretty insane stuff. He would run around the set. He would like do a bunch of push-ups and like just jack himself up. And during the particularly intense scenes, he would stick fingers down his throat and make himself like gag and throw up to get into it. I don't know.
Just put himself in a discomforting,
like
an uncomfortable
making that
place.
Face, you know, when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
I mean, it looks
makes sense.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, the end result's pretty good.
He praised Eggers. He's like, this is my method of acting now. He's like, this is what I do now. I make myself vomit. But he's like, sometimes the directors don't let you do that. Like they won't let you try to make yourself vomit.
They'll say, dude, you're freaking the rest of the cast out. Dude,
we don't want to be responsible for your health, man. Like you're doing some fucked up things here.
We don't need people quitting over this.
Yeah. But Eggers was just like, do it. Whatever you need to do, buddy, just do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
In fact, do it more.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
This is going to be excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I used to see like, okay, Batman, you're on. Wait a minute. All
right, I'm Batman now.
Now I'm really Batman.
Batman has an eating disorder.
Yeah, I was going to say, not sure if eating disorder or method acting.
That's right. Yeah.
So Dafoe had a quote. He says, during the shoot, he said to Eggers, if this guy pukes on me, I'm out of here.
Well, he's probably like, I can see Dafoe being like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
look at this young kid trying to be a good actor. Dafoe just like strolls into the role, and this kid's making himself puke and stuff.
But he's still doing his thing in a way that's like, I don't know. He's doing it in a way that completely is not in anybody's way. He's going out living in a shack on his own, but otherwise he's not imposing this on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And again, whatever Pattinson was doing, it seemed to be good. I guess it was helping him, but man, you're putting the cast through something there too, just by doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, but everyone was so miserable anyway,
and there probably weren't that many of them on set.
Right?
Well,
there wasn't.
Everybody knows what kind of film this is. So
right.
I mean,
we're gonna be standing in the mud, guys. The guy vomited over there is the least of our worries. Got to keep.
And there's only two of them. There's only two.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, none of that vomiting stuff. Now get over there and do your jack off scene. Right. So
right.
Robert Pattinson. It's very hard to get this shot of Willem Dafoe's thrusting ass when you're vomiting over there. Okay.
Yeah. Look, if you can go vomit around the corner, we've got semen on deck here, okay?
That's right.
That'd be pretty hypocritical, I guess, get him to stop doing that.
Yeah, it's true.
They had a dialect coach on set, and he was, there the entire time. And Eggers would go as far to tell people the third word of that sentence, say it 3/4 as long as you said it that last take. He would do like the timing of the words of the speeches and things like that pretty specifically. So they do it over and over again for a lot of scenes to get that stuff sounding right. Typically, a lighthouse would not have a breezeway like this movie has it, with a little bridge area in the inside. Typically, you'd build
a breezeway is what the thing connecting
the corridor,
the
enclosed corridor between the living quarters and the lighthouse, because you'd put the living quarters at the base of the lighthouse. So you'd build the lighthouse in a location where you could build both.
Not two separate buildings,
right?
So,
but this location that they filmed in was not like, if you were building a real lighthouse, you wouldn't put it in this location because it was not a good location for that. But it was a location they had and looked good, so they needed to actually build these two buildings separately because of the physical restrictions of the piece of land that they were doing. So then they had to just put the breezeway in there to make it make sense, right? They kind of like use their imagination there a bit. I thought it looked pretty damn cool. I liked it how it wasn't completely flat, how it was like a little elevated. Made it look very uneasy.
Yeah.
The sets stunk. All that water was real. And most of it was salt water. And there was a lot of real seaweed. And everyone was wet all the time. Wet clothing gets really stinky. Wet wood gets really stinky. It stunk on set. It was cold and bright and stinky. This movie was freaking awesome to shoot. Best time of their lives.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it does. And it shows. It shows. Oh, there was a scene where Robert Pattinson pulled a drawer out of the one of the cabinets and threw it at Dafoe's knee, and it injured Dafoe, and Dafoe got pissed at Pattinson for doing that.
Oh.
Not good.
Are they still friends?
They are. Yeah. Once the movie was over, they started talking normally, and they like each other and they're friends now.
Oh, okay.
That's the second day of the shoot when Dafoe was being dragged into the hole. There was a bunch of rose bushes in that path, and it cut him up.
Ooh.
Second day of the shoot.
Oh.
Poor Dafoe, 65-year-old man, just being dragged through rose bushes.
Ow.
God damn it, Eggers.
Mud dumped on his face.
Yeah.
He's bleeding.
Eat the dirt. It'll look better if it's real dirt. Trust me.
That's right. Oh, God.
Dude. How much did they get paid? Like, it doesn't seem worth it.
You got Dafoe like begging to be in it, basically. So,
Yeah.
Well, that's a stretch. I'm sure they got a cool million.
They did say that his the acting and the dirt eating specifically was so intense that it inspired the entire crew from the second day on, because they're just like, okay, that was fucking real. This movie's going to be something else. So everyone tried harder because of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Your dirt eating has galvanized the troops.
Yeah, right?
I never seen a man eat dirt like that. That makes me want to live. Makes me want to shoot a good film. Sorry, I mean, it's cool. I like it.
No, it is cool, but it is
it
funny too. Yeah.
Man, you see that guy? Did you see Willem eat dirt? Holy shit. This is a real movie we're making.
It was real. They took away the camera filters towards the end of the movie. When they started dying and stuff, to just add to like, there was supposed to be an air of like non-reality for the rest of it. It was supposed to be some type of fever dream, but then when people start, killing each other and dying, then it's just like, well, okay, this part is real. The rest of it might have been just people going crazy on an island, but now they're dead because they went crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Steve Gagne is the stunt guy. He was the guy who was responsible for doing one of the only stunts they had for other people to do, which was the fall down the stairs at the end, the lighthouse stairs, where he rolled down the lighthouse stairs. They only wanted to do it once, but Robert Eggers saw the footage, and it did not look that good, and he didn't want to say that it didn't look good and that the guy had to do it again. So what he did was he showed him the footage and let the guy come to his own conclusions that he needed to do it again. They did it twice. Yeah, real stairs. Stunt guy going down the stairs. Nothing.
Did he get hurt on the first time?
Not bad enough where he didn't do it the second time. I mean, you probably get bruised and shit, but I mean, that's a stuntman's job. Kind of is you're going to get bruised.
Yeah, but tough way to earn a living.
Got
paid to fall downstairs today twice.
I laughed during the commentary. So this guy Robert Eggers is like pretty matter of fact. Like he doesn't sound too excited. He sounds like smart, and everything he's saying is just like what he's recalling. And sometimes he says things that are very dry but funny. There was a scene where there's a seagull that poops on Robert Pattinson, and it's in the background. And his quote was like, he says, "I hope everyone sees the gull pooping on Rob. It is very important to me." He loves torturing his actors. It's just so strange. Yeah, the very end, he thanked all the producers for letting him make it the way he wanted to make it. He lost about estimated $6 million in funding because of how he wanted to make it. Like the black and white and the 1-to-1 basically ratio film style was the main thing. Jerking off probably coming in at a close third, I would imagine.
Close second.
Yeah, surprisingly, the mermaid vagina is at 10. It's at number 10.
Right. How does that work? Like in terms of losing funding, what funding do they have? Like, does that mean they have like producers pull out, or I don't know?
Producers pull out.
That mean?
Yeah,
they do.
Or
so
the
like
producers give them less money because they see this as like reducing. There must be some algorithm where you can be like, if we do it in black and white, we're going to lose this entire audience of people, right? So they lower the projected amounts, and that lowers the amount they're willing to put into it because everyone wants to like turn a profit, right? So you kind of, yeah. Right. But imagine like the Marvel movies, like, give them $200 million. It doesn't matter how shitty these things are. If it's bright blue and red and people punch each other at the end, it's going to make at least $1 billion.
It's going to be good. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I doubt that's how it is.
It's how it seems to be working out.
Like, let's just
so
make
shitty.
it that way because it's funny. Yeah.
Those movies are so much the same every time, and they suck.
And there's probably the same shithead white dudes sitting around jerking off, talking about how smart they are as they throw more money at it.
Is that what we're doing? You making fun of us?
We're jerking off in the lighthouse, folks. No big deal.
Everybody is.
Yeah. Everybody's in. We're not really mad.
Watch your heads, guys. It's coming down. Watch out now. Watch where you step.
Watch out.
Watch for the floors. I hope you're wearing your spiky boots because it's real slippery up in here.
Oh, gross.
TC, I have never wanted you to watch a special feature more than this next one. It was a featurette on this disc. I don't know how I'll ever convince you to buy this A24 special edition, The Lighthouse, for $50 that comes with a 4K Blu-ray. But there was a special feature new to this one that had the composer Mark Corvin on it, and it's about a half an hour special, and it shows how he created the score for it, and it's the most
pretty cool.
It's like tied for first with like the Ben Burt stuff from Star Wars. And this was like somewhat even more interesting because it wasn't just listening to Ben Burt, which is what the commentary track of Star Wars was. This was like a little half an hour documentary on this guy. And I think the coolest part of it all is he built this instrument called the apprehension engine, is what he calls it. And
Nice.
It's this big ass box, and it's got a bunch of shit hanging off of it. And he has things called friction rods, which are just what he called super balls on a stick. And a super ball is a bouncy ball. He just puts a bouncy ball on a little rubber stick, and he uses them to rub pieces of metal, to hit pieces of metal, kind of like a drumstick almost. But this apprehension engine is like, it sounds so good. Most of the sounds in the movie are from this thing. He uses bow strings to play these rods. He can like bend the rods to like change the tone of the rods.
But this isn't something he
Pretty cool.
invented. This is an actual instrument.
Oh, is
that's
it
used?
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it looked so freaking thrown together that I just figured that he made it. You can buy that thing?
Yeah.
Really?
It's apparently a thing. There's like how to build an
Where do you buy it?
engine.
Oh, you have to build it yourself though.
Well, there's
composer
one
Mark Corvin made it. Who's that?
Mark, yeah, it's
that
the
him?
guy, Mark Corvin.
That's
this guy.
He made it.
Oh.
He made it.
Okay.
He made it. Yeah.
But he's telling you how you can make your
his
own.
creator is
Built by a guitar guy.
Mark Covert.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
He's really
He's the
known.
composer.
He's well known. I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. He's in a bunch of stuff. He did The Witch too.
You can see a lot of YouTube videos on this.
Yeah.
too,
Okay, great.
It looks cool.
Look at the
I'm
YouTube
looking at it.
videos. Yeah. And the guy's really cool. He's like he used to be like a jazz musician, but he's since gotten into he basically, without saying it, said jazz doesn't make you any money. So he's like,
that's true.
He's learned to like pop music, but doing that has gotten him into making just weird sounds somehow. But he found that like his weird sounds that he makes really meshes well with horror. So like he basically is a horror movie composer. He's a pretty great guy to listen to like hear about his process and stuff.
Oh, you can pre-order one.
You can so he's actually like manufacturing them now.
Well,
how much is it?
It looks like
it was pretty big.
Makers purchasing one here.
Where's the digital version, huh?
There's an apprehension.
Am I right?
Yeah.
.com. I'll throw this in the chat.
Is this Mark Corvin's website?
Oh, I assume. Well, no, I assume he's behind this, but they're like.
There it is.
Yes, base model, $10,000 US.
Here we go.
$10,000. It's a steal.
That's the base model.
Yep, that's exactly what it looked like. Well, the spring looked a little different than the one that he had. But one of the coolest things is see that hand crank?
Yeah.
That's attached to that wheel, and they have little you can see the strings are kind of padded, and when you twirl it spins the wheel and it rubs against the strings and it makes a really eerie noise. And then you can kind of press on the strings and make different tones and stuff like that. One of the areas of this box is just what sounds like a little box full of metal trash. And it has a little stick in it. So you can just like swirl the stick around and it makes little crumply metal noises.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is. It looks crazy, but lots of cool noise out of it.
Get ready for another Google. There's another thing he plays called the water phone. Apparently the guy who created it, he didn't create this one, but he bought it from a guy he knows that also creates instruments. And this one was made to communicate with whales underwater. So you're supposed to fill it with water and use like a bowstring on it to make sounds. But he didn't fill it with water for this movie. He just used the bowstring. Plus he used a little friction rod to rub the bottom of it. And if you listen to him do that, a lot of the sounds in this movie come from that too. It makes it very, watching him do it and hearing the sounds he makes, sounds
awesome.
It sounds awesome. It's like, how the hell do you come up with this stuff? Like, it sounds so unique, and it's not what you expect when you look at these two things.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. So that was a really cool one.
So it isn't Corvin selling these or building them. I mean, it's based on his model. I'm sure maybe he's got some arrangement with them, but it's two other guys.
Okay. And at the end of the documentary with this Mark Corvin guy, he said he loves working with Robert Eggers because he allows him to experiment, and Robert will be there for the experimentation. So they basically sit there together and try to add these weird noises onto the movie. And whenever they find it, Robert knows immediately. Robert Eggers is just like, that's it. And then they move on. There's like,
that's cool.
It's like they really feel, he feels like a sense of accomplishment being like, this guy knows what he's doing. We just have to find it. We'll find it. It might take time, but once we do, it'll,
you'll see it immediately. Yeah.
There was, so that was the sound one. There was a costume one that was a little bit shorter. Linda Muir is the costume designer for this one. She also did The Witch and The Northman, and she's doing Nosferatu as well. So she's kind of, on Team Eggers there. All the clothing was handmade based on pictures from the era. They made all the boots. There's a lot of detailing that, you don't really catch when you're just watching the movie, but they spent a lot of time on that. There was a whole little storyline with the clothes where Robert Pattinson, at the beginning of the movie, he brought his own clothes over on the boat. And you see as the movie goes on that he starts wearing more and more of the clothes that are there in the lighthouse for lighthouse work. That was supposed to be like a progression that I assume neither of you picked up on because I don't know how you would. But that was kind of cool to hear that, they're trying to add some story elements in there too. Since they were filtering reds with all the lenses they were using, they had to make color choices for the costumes that allowed for them to, look good in this black and white, no red filter type of filming scenario. So that's kind of an interesting little problem to have, I guess, for a costume designer. So there's two more. The making of the Lighthouse, which was, I think I might have already said all of this one. Oh, yeah, I basically already said all this stuff, but the funniest quote from Eggers was at the end. He says, nothing good happens when two men are trapped alone in a giant phallus.
That sounds right.
That's the point of the movie.
Yep.
Apparently that's how he ended all of his promotional tour segments as well. He would just say that. He thought that was really funny.
He's been doing this Type 5 for 2 years.
There was, and the last thing I watched was there was a Film 4 thing on YouTube. And Pattinson said during that, he asked Eggers, is this stuff actually happening? Or is this like made up? Is this a fever dream? And Eggers said, you have to decide that for yourself. And since him and Dafoe weren't really talking about their characters, Robert Pattinson felt like the three of them were all making different movies at the same time.
Which was perfect.
Yeah. And the last piece of trivia I have is that they felt extra pressure while shooting this because everything was so well planned that none of the shots they had coverage shots. So they never had two cameras going at once. So there was you had to get it like perfect. Otherwise you're doing it again, which happened a lot. And that's it.
Cool.
Apologies, guys.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay.
It's an interesting film to watch and talk about. So that's fine. I didn't,
yeah, this wasn't the worst. Put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, but next week. Oh, wait, would you put it in the top 250?
Yeah.
No.
I want to see what he does next. I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
But I want to see what he does next. I'm probably going to want to watch at some point or other all this guy's films.
You already have. You're in a good place, John, because you have.
I know.
So there you go.
The funny thing about that, John.
The thing about Nosferatu, I was reading about that, meaning like I want to see it. I was just looking at what I could online. It does say that it's going to be in color.
Okay. And there you go. They want to make money with this one. He's sick of not making money probably at this point.
That's right. Yeah.
The Witch made a lot of money. The Witch.
It's going to be in color, but it's only going to be shown on a teeny little rectangle, only like tiny. Help you feel this minuscule sense.
Trust me, you want to get the front row seats in the theaters. You'll think you don't want them, but you will for this one.
This time you will. Yep.
You got to bring your little telescope. You got to bring the little glasses. You hold on the stick.
The audience, you'll get those little tiny binoculars.
Yeah. Oh, it adds to the atmosphere so much. This is brilliant.
That's right.
Yeah, you got me coming in hot, saying how awesome it is, and you guys are just like, God damn it, you idiot.
Yeah, what are you doing?
So you thought you were going to have it easy after this one, but you're wrong, guys.
Oh, no.
Very wrong.
Just beginning. What have you got
We got one of the most classic horror movies of the past, whenever. This might go down as one of the scariest movies ever made. It got friends that I have to stop watching horror movies entirely.
Oh, man. What are you doing?
John asked for this. This is what John asked for.
Cahoots.
Well, maybe I didn't know what I was asking for.
So,
I didn't,
This is the 2018 movie Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster, who kind of at the same. So The Witch came out in 2015. That was Robert Eggers' first movie, and then Hereditary is also an A24, and Ari Aster. This is also his first movie, and it really blew everyone away when it came out. Made a ton of money with a small budget, and people, if you look at scariest movies ever made lists, this movie is up there, and rightfully so.
I trust in A24.
Yeah,
so
prepare yourself.
We'll see.
And I'd say try to make, give yourself a spooky scenario. Don't watch it at 1 p.m. on a loud day or whatever.
Yeah.
Find a dark, quiet
time. So take some mushrooms, turn the lights down, and get
do not do that. No, that would be way too intense.
No, none of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But try to push your boundaries here, because this is a rare one where it's like there's almost nothing as scary as this movie. So you might as well see how your tolerance is,
All right. Well, I'm not looking forward to it.
Okay.
So, thanks,
you may have overhyped it. So that's
impossible.
Good. Maybe.
Impossible.
You're right.
Okay. We'll see.
Great.
We'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Happy Halloween, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah. That's right.
Fuck off.